Well, we finally made it, everyone. College football is here. Now, I know it's only week 0 and there's only like one game of relevance played, but this one game is still more important than the entirety of the NFL preseason, so that has to count for something. Week 0 is the appetizer before the main course, so it definitely counts. This offseason has been an absolute drag to get through, so when I say I'm happy it's finally over, I mean that. The season of talking and yapping is finally over, and we get to see our teams live up to our more than likely overly high expectations. With several teams moving to different conferences, we'll get to see if this was the right move or if this was a massive mistake from programs desperate to get a little bit more of that smexy green. One thing is for sure though, many TVs are going to be broken in the process of the 2024 college football season. There have probably been already a few casualties. Nonetheless, let's take a look at what happened in week 0. Now, just like I previously said, this is week 0, so other than the primetime entertainment we got in the afternoon, this is the best we're going to get. Bear with me here before we get to the main event. Anyway, even with the Pac-12 dying, we still get Hawaii after dark. If you are an Eastern timer and actually stayed up to watch this game, I have undying respect for you because this game kicked off at midnight. Yes, midnight on Spectrum Sports. Yeah, even if you have a backward sleep schedule, I doubt you have something called Spectrum Sports. Despite Delaware State being a respectable FCS program, they never stood a chance against the Rainbow Warriors. There really wasn't anything mind-blowing about this game other than this run from Marquis Adams that really makes you believe that EA College Football 25's tackling physics might have been onto something. Since Hawaii wasn't thrown to the Wolves to play a Power 5 opponent to start the year, they actually managed to get a dub to start the season. Good for them. This might be the only time I talk about this team, so I have to give respect where it's worth. Shout out to the Hawaii fans and the 2 people who actually watched this game. Still more viewers than Vanderbilt fans. Since this game didn't kick off at midnight, I've got a genuine belief that there are way more people who watched this game. I was right. Minimally because of the time, but much more based on the fact that this game was actually a really good game to watch. Like Delaware State, Montana State is a high-tier FCS program capable of giving some FBS teams a little more than they thought. Although, New Mexico was the one giving Montana State the whooping. They were doing pretty much whatever they wanted to throughout most of the game. Going into the fourth quarter, it was 31-14, so it looked like the Lobos were easily going to take the dub. Right? Right?
Snap, Malot's in trouble. Got a break though. What a block he got from Adam Jones, and he takes it in for the touchdown.
Okay, y'all let him score once, but that's fine. All you got to do is keep everything in front of you.
Like you said, Kirby Smart said it. If you have a quarterback, you just have a chance.
Wow, Adam Jones. No one was there on the left side. It is a race to the finish. Touchdown, Bobcats.
Okay, what are y'all doing? Y'all are kind of letting this game get away from you, and oh my goodness, how did he drop that pass? Well, as you watch Montana State go down the field, let me remind you that New Mexico paid $360,000 to Montana State to open up the 2024 season. Alright, well, here we go. Here is the game right here.
That's Humphrey. It's touchdown, Montana State.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is just the first of many choke jobs we are going to see in the college football season, capitalized by a guy mooning the team on the PAT. I just hope that New Mexico fans don't take the Ohio State approach and blame the wind as to why they lost. The tough news to swallow for the Lobos is that they have to play Arizona and Auburn back-to-back, though they do get a bye week before the Auburn game, and if I'm an Auburn fan, I'm looking at that game shivering in my boots remembering what their brother did. You know, I would say this is a humiliating performance being a Power 5 program for the first time, but for what it's worth, you're in the ACC, a Group of 5 program in disguise. SMU came into this game as a 27.5 point favorite, which makes this a much greater upset than the game we have yet to mention. This is based on the fact that Nevada was projected to finish last in the Mountain West. This game should have never been this close. Preston Stone, who a lot of people were high on, was definitely a mixed bag in this game. He'd have one really good play followed by a "What the hell?" This was made worse by the fact that SMU couldn't establish a decent run game, only having 100 yards rushing all game. And if you can only do that much against Nevada, oh boy. SMU's defense fared a little better, keeping Nevada only 150 yards of offense, but the ineptitude of their own offense and even their special teams kept them on the field. Even when SMU started fights with Nevada players, they were getting shoved around. The big bright spot on the team turned out to be tight end RJ Maryland, who practically lifted the entire program on his back on this day, as if he was not there, SMU probably loses this game. Nonetheless, he and Stone clutched up at the end and with little exaggeration, saved SMU's season. Now that we've gotten past this game, you'll hopefully never have to hear me talk about Nevada again. Anyway, SMU, despite being 1-0, has many things to polish if they want to have a shot at the ACC. If they can manage a decent run game and feed the ball to Maryland some more, they can still be a formidable force in the Toilet Bowl Conference. Speaking of said conference, let's take a look at the cream of the crop for Week 0. Over the last 9 months, Florida State fans have really created a villainous personality for their fan base. Not by being a really good team or having a really good season, but because they were left out of the 2023 college football playoffs, and ever since then, they have become the great babies of college football. After the mass exodus of their one-year rentals through the NFL draft and the transfer portal, Florida State fans tried to convince us before the Orange Bowl against Georgia that they would be fine and give Georgia a challenge. Well, what happened right afterwards? The excuses, among illustrating the Orange Bowl like an extraterrestrial and pretending that it didn't exist. We were playing our 10th string players. The players are boycotting the snub. Georgia cheated. SEC bias. ESPN hates the ACC. Kirk Herbstreit did it. He swung. It wasn't a check swing. The list went on and on and on and on and on. Then starting in February, Florida State filed lawsuits against the ACC as an attempt to leave the conference to head off to the Big Ten, SEC, or the Big 12, whoever would take them. For months on end, we were hearing constant updates with more lawsuits, excuses, crying about ESPN and SEC bias, and on top of that, Florida State fans were telling everyone that this was a revenge year and that the Seminoles would completely annihilate the entire conference on their way out the door. On the other side of this debacle is the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, a 13-point underdog who nobody's giving a chance to win this game, despite the fact that Georgia Tech was 4-0 against ranked ACC teams under Brent Key. They also had the top rushing offense in the conference last season. So with all this offseason yapping and crying from Florida State fans, it would come to an all-time high in the Dublin, Ireland Week 0 matchup between the two teams. It was no surprise that during College Game Day, we got to hear them boo Kirk Herbstreit and ESPN. Now on to the game. It was apparent early in the game that Georgia Tech wasn't going down without a fight, as Jamal Haynes and Haynes King established a very good run game early. Florida State had their fair share of good plays as well, but throughout the game it looked as if Georgia Tech was just playing better in all positions. Haynes King looked way more poised in the pocket as compared to Florida State transfer DJ Uyo, that guy. DJ looked as he did at Clemson and Oregon State. Nervous, despite Georgia Tech not really even getting that much pressure in. The only position Tech wasn't playing better at than Florida State was the kicker. But then again, Ryan Fitzgerald made a long of 59, so automatic NFL talent right there. Georgia Tech wasn't perfect either, as they dodged many bullets throughout the game, including fumble recoveries and questionable play calling. Also, if you let the same team on the same drive convert 2 back-to-back 4th downs, that's a choking masterclass. But now Tech is left with an interesting position with 5 minutes left to go and the ball game tied up at 21 apiece. Georgia Tech pulled out every trick in the book to keep Florida State from getting the ball back, along with whatever this was.
To try to pull off the big upset. Oh, the ball is out! Haynes King scoops it up and being chased down and they lose yardage.
Avoiding disaster, Georgia Tech managed to milk the clock down to 5 seconds to attempt a game-winning 44-yard field goal. This next moment is only something I can consider as a specific phrase on the behalf of the college football world. Poetic justice.
A way to do it.
You know, on the bright side, FSU fans, now you'll have all the time in the world to complain about the 2023 playoff snub. You won't be making it back anytime soon. Now's a better time than any to remind you that you still have to play Notre Dame, Clemson, and Miami, and unless any of those teams have no ability to run the ball, you're in a world of hurt for 2024. Shout out to Georgia Tech though, as it seems Brent Key has really turned this team around. Now, unless they have another situation where they get dragged by Bowling Green for no apparent reason, I'm of the belief that they are in for a great year. Now, I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but baby steps towards a possible 9-win season, just maybe, we'll see in due time. As for the FSU man, wear this loss with pride. You deserved it. You don't get to make everyone hate you after 8 months of screaming and expect not to get any hell for it. You should probably focus a little more on recruiting now. The excuses are absolutely hilarious, by the way. Jet lag was the reason FSU lost? What in the world are you talking about? Did the engineers in Atlanta learn instant transmission before this game? Well, I believe you learned a very important lesson in 2024. Stay humble and remember why you don't yap for an entire offseason. Side note, by the way, ESPN and Kirk Herbstreit are undefeated, you clowns. I wonder if the Big 12 still wants you. I bet not. Well, that's all there was for week 0 besides the FCS matches, and if I called all of those, I'd be here for a good century. Here's my week 1 top 25, by the way. Oh wait, hold on a second. That's my week 1 top 25. See you all next week when we have our first true taste of every team in college football, unless you're Ball State for some odd reason. Until then, power to Tardaria!